Okay, welcome to Tuesday. We're in the 25-year M5, the frozen gray one. Lots of progress on this car today. So this morning they took off the exhaust, the drive shaft, the heat shields, the transmission, the clutch kit, and the flywheel. Exposed the rear main seal, which is seeping. We've ordered another one. It should be in soon. Then that'll allow us to start getting that together. The pilot bearings in. I've been working inside here for a bit. Took off the steering wheel, paddle shifters removed, steering wheel backed on and torqued. We took out this finisher, we took out the HVAC panel, we took off this piece, we took off that piece. Center console's out. The glove box and passenger's footwell trim is out. Driver's footwell trim is out. Found a whole bunch of aftermarket wiring, so I'm not too sure what any of this is. I will have to ask him, see if he knows about that. I suspect it might have something to do with this switch. Anyways, did a lot of cleaning up in here, and each one of these conversions just gets a little bit tidier from my perspective. This is the wiring here. So we took the old wire from the power circuit, like the power button, and cut the connector off, took it out of the harness, cut the connector off. Then we took the old passive signal from the DSC off switch, took it out of the harness, took it out of the connector, and cut the connector off, put those together. Then you go back in here. This is why the glove box is off. Let me turn the light on. Okay, pretty dusty, a little rusty up in there. Anyways, see that yellow open box right in the middle of the frame? To the left of that, by that thick red wiring harness, is a 32-pin connector, and that's the actual logic for your SCM. And the SCM are these buttons here and these buttons here. These are just switches, like I talked about a few weeks ago on the 08. You press the button, it just completes a circuit. There's no logic here. They're just 3-pin connectors for each one of these. And 2 of those pins are your positive and ground for the backlight illumination. So we moved the old power signal to now the pin on the SCM that's going to control your DSC switch, and that's how we reprogram this button from tire to MDM. And I actually found this MDM panel on eBay. I couldn't believe how lucky we got. So I popped that in today, and that should work completely. We opened up the fender liner, moved pin 41 to 6 at the ABS module. So now we should have a complete circuit from this button to the SCM, from the SCM over to the DSC module to turn off traction control. It's so cool. I love how all this stuff works. But the 2010 car, there's several differences. So below this, we have these 2 Phillips screws that really threw us for a loop until we got down there to see them. You've got to take off your gloss black or wood or aluminum or whatever gear shift surround, then the center console trim, then you're trying to take the center console out and it's still super tight up front. Well, if it still feels like it's attached, it probably is attached. So looked up the new TIS, found out indeed that down here are these additional screws. So take those out, center console comes out. So I'll be ready to put the glove box back in when the car's not on the lift. I can actually open the door and my back doesn't hurt from laying down there already. Tons of wiring and stuff to do over here still. That's not going to get done today. It's approaching 6 o'clock. I think I'm going to hook up the battery and start some programming, some coding rather. We took the DME out and over to the sublet that does the flash today. They said a couple of days, called back 2 hours later, said it's done and ready for pickup. So we'll have a DME tomorrow. We're going to be ready to start wiring tomorrow if there's time as well. SMG ECU's out. We're putting all the old parts in the trunk. Customer has that second M5 and wants to retain the parts in case he ever needs them on that car. Found out somebody got some coffee on the glove box. We're going to have to cut the clutch panel out of there. But now all of this crap's in the way because I got to get down under there and hook the battery back up. But where'd it go? Mike did some great work on the M3 transmission today. So it came with the extension bracket. That's good. We got new transmission mounts on, top nuts, bottom nuts, torque to spec, bracket off the SMG. I want to replace this seal in here. This looked pretty dirty. So I have that selector rod shaft seal on order. We'll do that. I got a bunch of parts today. We have the carrier. I put the front bushings in. I put the rear bushing in. We have the M5 wiring harness, moved pin 10 to 4, hooked everything up here. And then in the bell housing, Mike got everything really nice and cleaned up in here. And we've got our new throw-out bearing on there. Check the pivot. The pivot looks fine. So we're going to be good to go here once we get the selector shaft sealed, change the rear main, and get the flywheel and clutch kit on there. We should have this transmission on this week for sure. Oil smelled like gas on this car. Customer approved an oil change. I got the oil delivered today, so we'll do the oil change tomorrow. Finish the MPI by doing a little bit of driving. The exhaust off of the frozen car Eisenman mufflers in the back, that's what they look like, all factory to here. Then this fell apart. That clamp wasn't tight at all, so obviously that cat has been replaced, maybe under warranty. That does look like a BMW clamp, but the cutting isn't great here, and this is weird. That looks like a manufacturing kink. It's not a straight cut for one, and I think they took off too much pipe, and there's just not enough sticking into the clamp to clamp down. That should be welded. We'll see what he wants to do with that. Otherwise, that's pretty much the whole day, just working on this thing and getting a lot done. Everything kind of taken apart and cleaned up air boxes, and there's just parts galore. Look at all this stuff. This is all off of cars. We found a leak other than the remain. It's got the oil scavenge pump seals leaking, so he's approved that, and they are on order. We'll be changing those as well. Brake pedal, clutch pedal. How nice is it? How nice is it of BMW to include the right little foam piece on the back for us, and even a little cutout, a little trace that I can cut out and then make smooth with the Dremel, so you're never going to cut yourself on sharp plastics. There's a couple little slips up there. It's not perfect, but beats spending 300 bucks on one of these. Sorry, I'm jamming. It's 80s hour here. Looking at the vehicle order on this 25-year car, pound sign 0909, that's the build date. It's coded as a 0909. It's labeled as an 1109. Why is it coded 2 months older than it is? That is bizarre. All you have to do here is add option 2MA, that's manual for the US. Come down to the bottom, add plus DOF. NB93 means it's a USA car. That's the color code. No, this is the color code. That's the interior code, country code, plus DOF, that's some sort of option. And then all of these are options here. And this one has a lot of it. If you see 206 in here, get rid of it, that's for the SMG. It seems that only the early cars were coded for SMG. So we do that, we hit back, we're gonna process ECU called CAS, we're gonna change job to FA right, and execute. Job active, job ended, okay. Back, now I like to just close out of the whole thing. Head over to NCS Expert, File, Load the profile. We'll use the default profile F1, F3, E60, CAS, okay. Now it's gonna populate that vehicle order up here. And we should say, there it is, 2MA. And if it went all the way out, we'd see plus DOF too. Now we'll do the same thing with the LMA, the light module, file, load profile, default, F1, F3, E60, but now we go to LMA, okay. And enter vehicle order for the E60, verify the VIN. We don't have 206, so we add attribute $2MA, add plus DOFF, add, make sure that went down to the bottom, it did, okay, back, process ECU, LMA, change job, FA right, execute. Then we have to write blank FSW, PSW.mans to several modules. And that's gonna make some changes here. So right now on the, let me turn this music up, this is ridiculous. We're gonna go here to change SG and SGET, whatever that means, that's module. We're gonna write a blank man to the CAS. That means change job to SG Codiran and execute. Before I do that, let's take a look at the cluster. So it's bitching about a whole bunch of stuff, which makes sense. CIC nav is very unhappy. I can't dismiss that because I have no controller plugged in, which I don't even know what wiring, it's this wiring. So we're just gonna ignore that, but the CAS won't really give us a lot of changes. I guess the nav reboots. Nav's back, no changes there, coding ended. Now we're gonna do that to the next module, which is gonna be DSC. And as soon as I click execute, it's gonna complain about DSC because it doesn't, oh, no response from control unit. Okay, we'll do that later. It's a later problem. What's up next? How about Combi? That is our instrument cluster. So we hit execute here, and this is gonna give us manual mode. When we execute the blank file. Executing a blank file means the cluster gets it and it says, hey, what the hell? I don't know there's no data here, right? So it goes out to the vehicle order and tries to figure out as much as it can about, do I have a manual? What year am I? Am I a 5 series, a 6 series? And immediately after writing that command, take a peek at manual mode now. No more selector. Up top, it's bitching about all sorts of stuff still. Remember, there's no DME in this car, and we've done 0 wiring outside of the DSC switch, which is not yet working because it thinks there's no brake fluid, and that's why the DSC light's on. I don't know why. The sensor might be unplugged. And finally, let's change modules to LMA, blank SG Codiran, execution. And that might get rid of a few things on the cluster because the light module is still trying to treat this car as a manual. Xenons are going to flash a couple of times. Halos are on for us. And that's done. So now we'll do some fine-tune coding, and I like to bring up the visual, like the speed indicator on there. So we'll do that. And there it is. A few short moments later. I'm not sure why the consumption is in liters per 100 kilometers. That's adjustment we'll make from over there. Sweet. I think the coding is about done. Problem is there's no DME in the car, which the car really doesn't like not having an engine computer, but no more SMG related codes or any of that because it's gone. We've got 22 codes stored in this car. There's the gateway module engine timeout. I think that's just because there's no engine computer, no communication possible with engine. That'll disappear with the thing. We've got to check the brake fluid level. I don't know why it's complaining about that. EDC wake ups, that's probably just wiring. License plate, light faulty, we'll have to check for that. Not plugged in because there's no DME. So I don't see anything like, you know, outside of the ordinary here. And if we go back to, God, I always get lost in here. Is it, oh shit, we gotta go to active, open the operation again, vehicle information, vehicle details, there it is. So now we can come down and scroll and see manual transmission USA. I don't think it shows, oh it does. DOF, deactivate conversion of office functions. Office functions, what the hell is that? Maybe I've been wrong with this the whole time, or it's just, they didn't want to say exactly what it was for. This thing has USB audio interface, heads up display, voice control, satellite, damn. This thing's got it all. Anyways, that's gonna pretty much wrap up today. 6:30, I'm gonna head out of here. We're standing in the tunnel looking backwards. There's the diff input, and there's our shift hole. Hey, I'm not wearing the red shirt, it's the gray shirt. And it's Tuesday night, and I've been in Shop Monkey for the last like 2 hours, just updating people and sending stuff out, and bought some sway bar brackets. The Black 530 has one of those mounts that's just sheared off. So I looked that up. Guess what BMW wants for a factory aluminum, you know it's going to break within 5 years, rear sway bar mount? $75. Are you kidding me? $75 for a little C shape with a little tail on it piece of aluminum. So it turns out ECS/Turner Motorsport makes one of these in steel for about half that cost, or you can buy the Beast Power ones, which I would definitely recommend for any sort of aftermarket sway bar application, whether that be Dynan, whether that be, what do I have, Eibach, whatever it is, you definitely want that. But on a 530 with a stock 530 sport rear sway bar, the steel one's fine. He's gonna flip this car. We're not trying to dump a ton of money into it. So ordered 4 of those. I want to have a few on stock for other people like this from ECS. I'm sure they'll be here in about 3 weeks. The other headlight, front right, for the Canadian car did not show up today, even though it's supposed to. Every day it gets delayed another day. It's so frustrating. You know, at a personal level, when you're waiting for your next gadget, your new coat hangers, your aftershave, whatever you guys buy on Amazon, it's annoying because you're excited for it or because you want it for your personal workflow. When it's a business and the customer's calling you every other day, hey, am I good to schedule my flight down to San Diego? And it's like, no, I still don't have your package. Well, when's it due? Well, tomorrow, but tomorrow it will change. It's maddening that they cannot, at least, if they tell me it's in a week and it takes a week, that's fine. Telling me it's tomorrow every day for a week is far more stressful. This is FedEx, it's not their fault. I understand global supply chain issues. I understand employment issues. The systems need to compensate for that. Rant over, going to bed tomorrow, hump day Wednesday. We'll talk then. Night.